You can use tables in Google Docs for a lot of different things. It can really help kind of sort information. It can help make things a little bit easier viewing wise on things. And so your teachers might be using that as a way to kind of create their daily schedule and things like that. So to create a table, you're going to go to Insert, Table, and then you pick how many columns you want, okay? And columns go up and down. And then you also will pick how many rows you want. So rows go from left to right. And so I'm just going to pick a 5 by 5 square, right? And so here I have a table and I can type in and keep things sorted. And there's some cool things that you can do with tables that I want to go over. I can even create a table within a table. And so let me show you what that might look like. So I'm going to create a table. Maybe I just want a box around it, right? And I'm going to ask a quick question like, what is your name? And I want my students or somebody else to answer that question in a separate kind of text box. So then I'm going to go to Insert, a table. And now I have this kind of cool space for the person to write their answer. And what I can do here is I can actually change the color in the background of my table, right? So if I want it to look like that, and then say I want to make this pretty clear that this is where you're supposed to answer. And so now I have that, all right? So table within a table can be kind of a cool option. And then you can also like, oh, hey, wait, I wanted to add something. So I'm going to add a column to the left and then maybe, put a picture in there or something like that. So lots of ways to do that. Okay, so again, if you want to add a column, you're going to here on my table, I'm going to select this piece and I want to add a column. And you're going to you can insert right or left. And I always forget which is which and mess it up. So then I inevitably have to come back and change it, especially if you have something typed in one of them and you're trying to be pretty particular about that. And then same with, I want to add a row. I'm going to highlight all my columns. I'm going to right click, and then now I can insert a row above or below. You can do that. Another way, if you just want like another row at the bottom, if you go into this last box, it's called a cell. If you go into the last cell and just hit tab, you can create another row. And to get to the next cell without clicking into it with a mouse, you would hit tab. Tab, and then tab will make a new one. You can also use your arrows to kind of direct where you're going. If you have something typed into one and you go to use the arrows, right, it's going to go through those letters first. And if you have something and I want to indent, the tab does make it go to another cell, which can be kind of frustrating. So you can space over those things. If I want this to just be, I want to make a title with all of these, I can highlight them, I can right click, and I can merge cells. And that's just going to make one long one up at the top. And then I can unmerge the cells if I need to. If I want to just, like I want a big box here for some reason, I can click on whatever I want and merge those cells to give me that one box. And then to undo it, I would just hit unmerge, especially if right now I can just merge and then I can be like, oh, wait, I want to undo something. But if I've gone and done something else and typed something else, to just unmerge them, you can right click. Okay, so so I'm going to delete some of these. And I want to make, a table for some reason with, this is going to be student answers first one, and student answers the second one, and student answers 3. So here I'm going to ask you to write in your name, class period, So you get the idea. And now I want to mess around with the size of these things. I don't need all of this space for this, right? I can make these. And if I select all of these cells, and then I can change the font size for them, so I can make them smaller and bold them because I don't need a whole ton of room for this. So I'm going to keep shrinking it, right? Now I have some more room. Oh, now I've gone too far. So playing around with how to move the column is you just move your cursor over to where you get this. And same with going, changing the size of your rows. Okay, so now I have kind of my ideas here and this giant section for student 1 and smaller sections for student 3. So rather than having to, oh, I think it goes that far. Oh no, I have to, change it. No, don't do that. Too much time. If you just highlight those sections, you can right click, and then when you scroll down, you can distribute the columns, and that's going to make them even. So they have the even amount of space. You can do that also, I don't know if you saw, but you can do it with distribute rows, right? And if you noticed, that time I didn't grab every single row or every cell in those rows, and that's okay. As long as you get the majority of them, you're good to go. Okay, so then I want to make some other changes. I want to change these black lines to a different color. Maybe I want to get rid of them all together. So I'm going to highlight the whole table, and then I'm going to click on table properties. And here's the border. So if I want to change it to blue, I can do that. If I don't want any at all, I'm just going to turn them white because the paper is white. So they're actually still there. It's just you can't see them when they're not highlighted. So, but if you highlight them, you'll still be able to see them. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to go to tables, and then I can change the background of my cell. I can say, hey, I want you to start in the middle instead of at the top. And same with, I want you to go in the middle instead of the left. And then I hit OK. And now I have that. All right. You can also change kind of the width of things and the padding. I wouldn't mess around with this too much. That's just if you really are trying to get in a lot into small spaces to play with. Okay, one other quick thing that I wanted to show you that I know I see a lot of students doing. When you highlight, if you highlight anything that's more than the cell and you right click, you don't get the same option. You don't get those table options because it's seeing this piece right here, if you see this, is highlighted. And so it's recognizing it as a document instead. So you just be really careful to make sure that you've gotten just the cell and no more than the cell. So here where those blue lines are showing up over here, that's telling me I have more than just this table. So I want just this table in order to get the features in order for changing table properties or rows and columns. All right, so I'm going to turn this back to that. I'm going to make this back. Okay. And then you can also just delete the entire table. And again, if I do that, I can get rid of it, right? And if I delete this, I'm not sure, and delete the table, it'll only delete the table within the table. So I need to maybe delete both or do it as I did earlier. So have fun with tables because they can be kind of a fun way to make a document a little bit more aesthetically pleasing.